And we're going to go get right into the lesson. Praise the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And peace to everybody that's here in the name of Jesus. And also, we want to say peace to everybody that's tuned in on the internet and on the phone line. If you don't have no copy of the lesson, it should be coming. Well, we're glad to be getting into another Sabbath. And it seemed like more and more the Sabbath keep coming sooner and sooner. Before you look up, it's already back around again. And we should look forward to it because it gives us a time to take a break from all the madness. And I do mean madness because we know it's crazy in the world. And we just trying to make it to the Lord's kingdom come. But you got to make it living according to the way God say we need to live. Because in this world, it's a whole lot of other stuff we could be doing, even just from being here Friday night. You know, when those of us, before we was in the Word, we was in the world, I'm sure we did a whole lot of other stuff on Friday night. I got a lesson. So, it's a blessing to have some knowledge and be here observing the Lord's holy Sabbath. And that's what it is. Now we're going to start off in Romans, the 10th chapter. And you heard the saying, we all heard the saying that, you know, history repeats itself, or you don't want to let history repeat itself. And being that most people have heard that saying, it's kind of sad that Israel, God's chosen people, we had a lesson a few weeks ago dealing with that Israel, you know, is a black people. That was the title of the Bible, is Black History, part 1 and part 2. So we understand who Israel is, but most people don't. And that's a sad state of affairs that things are hitting us in the face, and we don't have a clue why it's going on. And it just keep hitting you in the face. That's amazing. And we don't stop to take a look, and especially when you look at how we supposed to believe in God. Believe in God more than anybody. I'm talking about this black people that's cursed all over the world, not just here, but all over. Because we look at we look at the bad treatment we get in this country, but we get bad treatment in other countries all over. It's the same state of affairs. But the amazing thing is, being that we supposed to believe so heavily in God, it seemed like every once in a while we would ask the question, why does God keep letting me get hit in the face? And when I say me, I'm talking about the people as a whole. And it just keep happening. And I'm not talking about stuff that's happened recently. You know, we talked about brothers getting killed by the police. You know, brother got, well, they got killed a while ago, but the verdicts came back in, or not even the verdicts, just that nobody is going to be held accountable for them being killed. Even you have stuff on videotape, and it don't matter. But it never have mattered. I'm not talking about recent stuff. I'm talking about this stuff been going on for years. In our recent memory, we could say decades. You know, it's been going on. Matter of fact, that was decades ago when they had a videotape of the brother just getting beat unmerciful in Los Angeles. They had a videotape, but then they indicted them. But then, of course, the jury came back and said not guilty. So this is nothing new. This been going on for, in our lifetime, we could say decades. We've been seeing it. And then if you look back, it's been going on for hundreds of years. Even when you know the truth, it's been going on for thousands of years. But if you just look at our recent history in this country, this is nothing new at all. You know, that's why now you got something, organization called the New Black Panthers. Well, where did they come from? Because you had some old Black Panthers. Back, 50 years ago, more than 50 years ago, but at least 50 years ago, there was the old Black Panther. And what were the Black Panthers mad about? The same thing the new Black Panthers mad about. And I'm not saying the stuff that happened don't make you mad, but sooner or later you got to get to why you keep getting hit in the face and get to what is the real problem and what is the real solution. But the old Black Panthers, they were fighting against, they had them some guns. They was brandishing their guns to fight against, what we see recently here. Police brutality, right? Matter of fact, I think they the ones halfway coined the phrase that people been using recently about pigs and, calling police the pigs. Oh, no good pigs. But look, this is nothing new. But nobody stopped to realize, well, why does it keep happening? Especially since we as a people claim to believe in God so much. Go to church more than anybody. Worship more than anybody. Have more altar calls than anybody. I mean, you name it, we got more than anybody. But then again, we got more children dying, and not just by the police, dying, period, seemingly unnecessarily. Getting shot by the police, getting shot by each other. Why is that? It's all over the Bible. So that's the title of the lesson. Concerning that, Israel, because we know Israel is black and cursed. Israel, oh Israel, when will we learn? And I think that's a valid question, because none of this is new. Matter of fact, we just had, we looking at the recent stuff, but this stuff been going on and going on. But it's just happening more frequently right now, or I should say really is being publicized a little more recently. Certain events being publicized, but it's been going on. It's been going on for years. Because I saw Stevie Wonder he did a tape. He was doing something live. And, Stevie Wonder, he always seemed to be real mild-mannered. But this is like 50 years ago. He was doing like a concert. And before he got into the concert he was mad. And what was he mad at? He was mad at some brutality. And he cursed before he started singing. That seemed kind of rare for him. He cursed. He did a little monologue before he got into his song that he was singing. And he was saying how he was comparing some cases back then. Again, this over 50 years ago. He was comparing some cases how that people was going to jail, getting a lot of time. He mentioned for some drugs. He said, how is it you going to get a whole lot of time for some drugs? And I think at that time what had happened, some kids got bombed in a church or something happened. And he said, and they bombed this church and killed these 4 kids, and nothing happened. And he said, what kind of stuff is that? He didn't say stuff though. But that just shows you this was over 50 years ago. Because it's been going on. So that's why the title is Israel, O Israel, when will we learn? Romans 10 and verse 1. And one of the major problems with us not learning is that, first of all, we don't know we Israel, and we don't pay attention to what the Bible is saying, though we got all kind of churches. And we let somebody tell us that Israel is unimportant nowadays anyway. You know, because we under the New Testament. Look, you haven't read the New Testament if you believe that. This is the New Testament in Romans 10, and even this brother, Paul, was an Israelite. He was addressing this people, Israel. And he understood that, hey, we had a learning problem now, because that's what you need to understand, brothers and sisters. It is really not a police brutality problem. That's just a symptom of the overall problem. It's not a police brutality problem. It's not a problem that you need to riot and tear something up, even though I understand how things could happen so blatantly and that make you want to do that. But that's not the answer, obviously, because we done tried that, been there and done that, right? None of those things are the problem. We have a knowledge problem, and I don't mean general knowledge. I mean knowledge of God problem. Romans 10:1. Go ahead.
Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved.
Now notice, people have done away with Israel. Matter of fact, especially a lot of our people who keep getting slapped in the face, hit in the face repeatedly. We be the main ones saying, oh, Israel don't matter. It don't matter. God just, he's saving any and everybody. No, God is dealing with Israel first and foremost all the way down to the end of time. That's why even though this letter was written to the Romans, that's why Paul was addressing his own people, Israel, because you can't get away from Israel. Prominent, the whole Bible centers around them from Genesis to Revelation. So how can you read the Bible and not understand the importance of Israel? That is your first mistake. You lack knowledge on that. So he said it. Paul said, brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God. He said, this is my heart's desire. This is my prayer to God for Israel. For who? For Israel, right?
Israel.
For Israel. Right now, he's not talking about nobody else. He talking to the Romans, but he talking to the Romans about Israel. My heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is what?
That they might be saved.
Is that they might be saved. Why he signaling out Israel? Because he know the importance of Israel. That they might be saved. But he going to recognize a problem that we have. That's why the title is Israel, O Israel, when will we learn? Jesus basically says something similar to it. But go ahead, verse 2.
For I bear them record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge.
See, now notice what he said. He said, I bear them record that they got a zeal of God. That means they got a desire concerning God. They got a desire to worship God. Got a desire. That's how you can identify Israel too. We go to church more than anybody. That's a zeal. We have more revivals than anybody. That's a zeal. You go to our neighborhood, you got churches every few storefronts. Every few buildings is a church. Matter of fact, that's the only business that Israel can have in our community. That's the only business we can have. Most of the time, other people have the businesses in our community, the stores and the drugstore, all kind of, most of the other people have those, but we have the churches. So that's a zeal, but the problem that Paul understood way back here and that we still understand is he said, I bear them record they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. Don't have a clue about God and don't even care, thinking you can worship God however you feel. That's one of the main reasons why we keep getting hit in the face. We want to try to blame the police and blame man. Look, ask yourself, what do God have to do with it? What do God got to do with it? If there's a God, evidently, he don't mind you get hit in the face. He don't mind it. And I ain't talking about just getting hit in the face. Of course, you know I'm talking about, look, getting killed at will. young men get killed, nobody accountable. Don't even feel like should even be accountable. Get mad if you try to say, well, somebody should be accountable for it. But look, why is God allowing it? Keep allowing it. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. Verse 3.
For they being ignorant of God's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God.
And that hasn't changed. We ignorant of God's righteousness. Matter of fact, we got more church than anybody, but the majority of our churches, 99% of them say you don't need no kind of law. You just serve God how you feel like it. So we don't care about God's righteousness. Of course, we know, hey, living according to some works in and of itself not going to save you. We understand that. Why? Because we all sin. We need a sin offering. But that's not what he's talking about, that you just throw away any type of righteousness, period. No. Because the Lord tell you faith without works is dead. So you can't just say, I got faith and don't do nothing. And you can't make up your own things to do. That's what we've done. We got many churches, they say you don't have to do what the Bible say, but they give us all kind of other stuff to do. Why is it that we're going to throw out what's in the Bible and get mad if you bring it up? For instance, we here on the Sabbath day. The Sabbath day starts Friday evening through Saturday evening. We're going to have another service tomorrow afternoon. Okay. But the majority of our churches say it don't matter about that. We can do it on Sunday. But that's not in the Bible. That change is not in the Bible, where it changed from the seventh day to the first day. Even though people teach that it's a reason why it changed, you can't read that reason in the Bible. You can't read that in the Bible. So that's our own righteousness. And if you were smart, you would just take what the Bible say. And something got to be wrong, brothers and sisters. If we go into church on Sunday more than anybody, and we have more drive-by shooting, more police brutality, more disease, more home invasion, more you name it, we have it more than anybody. Something got to be wrong. Why isn't God paying attention? Or maybe he is paying attention and trying to get you to wake up. That's why the title again is Israel, O Israel, when will we learn? So he said we got a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge, and we got our own righteousness. We throw away everything in the Holy Bible. We walk around with a Holy Bible, but don't want to abide by none of it. What the heck do you have a Holy Bible for then? We don't want to abide by none of it. Everything in it. People start saying we don't need it. You flip over to Leviticus, where it talks about, or Deuteronomy, where it talks about eating certain things and not eating certain animals. Our churches say we could just pray over it. Then you flip over to Leviticus, where he talk about the Sabbath day and the holy day. Our churches say it don't matter. We can keep man's holidays. So when it gets down to it, you don't need the Bible to follow modern religion. He went further to say, for they being ignorant of God's righteousness have not humbled themselves to the righteousness of God. Go to Luke 11, because Jesus saw that people were doing that, not even just anybody. We had a lesson recently deal with this, that is many false prophets, and that's the main problem. That's why our churches are off track, because the leaders at the churches won't tell people the truth. So history just keep repeating itself because we ain't learned the lesson that we need to learn, brothers and sisters. And that's what God trying to let us know. So we have hardship after hardship after hardship and don't pay attention. Don't think this is going to be the last. We should know this is not going to be the last. So we know that we going to turn on the news again and we going to see some mother or some father somewhere crying over their child being killed unjustly. We already know that's going to happen. There's no if and buts about it. We know it's going to happen again. Because we haven't even addressed why it's happening. We're addressing things on the surface, but we're not getting to the meat of it, because if you going to church all the time praying to God, why don't you ask God about it? And he'll tell you right through the page of this Bible. Luke 11:52, one verse. Go ahead.
Woe unto you, lawyers, for ye have taken away the key of knowledge. Ye enter not in yourselves, and them that were entering in ye hindered.
See, this is the big problem. I told you, we don't have a March on Washington problem. We don't have a March on Ferguson problem. That's not the problem. We don't have a March on New York problem or a lack of marching problem. That's not the problem. The problem is we don't have no knowledge of God and what he requires, what he wants us to do. Therefore, we keep suffering for lack of knowledge. Paul said it. So this wasn't something that started in the Old Testament that I just started with. We started in Romans 10. Paul said, concerning this people, not anybody, Israel, I bear them record. They got a zeal of God. Oh yeah, you'll pray and talk about God all day long. A zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. Now, if that wasn't enough, here we reading something Jesus said, and he is talking about, he's not talking about, we look at lawyers now. We look at the lawyers in the civil part of the world. But see, Israel had lawyers with degrees in religion, and they called them lawyers. Just like they still got it now in religion. They just don't call them lawyers. They call them doctors. But they still, make it like they are, quote unquote, the most educated when it comes to God or the word of God. They call them doctors. They give out a degree and say, you a doctor, and he's supposed to be a doctor in God, right? A doctor in the knowledge of God. So that's who Jesus is talking about here. He's not talking about just some civil lawyer in society. He said, woe unto you lawyers, these religious lawyers or doctors. Woe unto you lawyers, these the so-called Bible scholars. For what have they done? He said, for ye have taken away, the key of knowledge. He said, you taking away the key of knowledge. Who taking away? The ones that's supposed to know. The ones that's supposed to be educated, but they don't care about letting the people know. Even they know more than they let on. Obviously, they don't know enough, because if they knew enough, they'd be scared to be hiding from the truth and lying to people. So they don't know enough, but they know more than they let on. But what do? They hide it from people because they want to keep people in their pocket. They want to keep controlling people. So they hide it from. That's what the majority, especially these big-time preachers, because you ain't going to get to be no big-time preacher without God showing you so he can deal with you in the end. He going to show it to you so you won't be able to escape in the end. Because you got too many people who you standing in front of, and God is going to hold you accountable for those people. So he showed it to them. That's what he tell you in Romans 1. He said the invisible things of God are seen by these same false religious leaders. So what he said, woe unto you lawyers. Now again, that's religious leaders. For ye have taken away the key of knowledge. That's why all the people in the average church got a zeal of God, but no knowledge, right? Not according to knowledge. Because when they go to church, the man who should give it to them, he's not giving it to them. That's why whenever we have one of these incidents that go on in our community, who at the front supposed to be speaking for the people in most cases, among our people, is some religious leader, right? But see, that's part of the problem. He haven't gave them the knowledge in the first place that they need to help better the situation. Woe unto you, lawyers, for you are taking away the key of knowledge. Ye, finish that verse, 52.
Ye enter not in yourselves, and them that were entering in ye hindered.
See, they gave up on getting into the kingdom. And they got rid of the key of knowledge. They not going to get in, but worse than that, the people who following them are trying to enter in, and they hindering the people that follow. That's why the Lord warned you about beware false prophets. That means they are leading you astray, and you're going to end up in a bad place by following them. It's bad now. You're suffering now from lack of knowledge, but it's going to get worse when at judgment time. Isaiah 5. Let's go back to the Old Testament and see, this is the problem. It's not a lack of marching or rioting or tearing stuff up or economics. You know, we had all kind of solutions preached to us, except the real solution, and that's find out what's God's role in this bad predicament of Israel, of this people. Find out what God got to do with it. Where's God at? Where was God at when not only he allowed the brother, was that in New York, that got strangled, not only then, where was God at? Where was God at when the people said, no, the policeman didn't do nothing wrong? And I know it make you mad, because it make me mad just reading some of it when they say, well, you know, it's his fault. Look, he might have been doing whatever, but did that say, okay, he need to die? And then somebody said, well, he said he couldn't breathe, but he was talking, so obviously he could breathe. Look, evidently he knew they were stopping him from breathing, right? He knew his breath was getting cut off because he stopped breathing a few seconds later. See, that's what I'm saying. But what helped me from not wanting to go out there and tear nothing up and get somebody is knowing that God allowed it for his reason, because he's trying to wake us up. But it's clearly something going wrong. Isaiah 5 and one verse. So this is the problem. It's not a police problem, or like they say, pigs. It's not a pig problem. It is a lack of knowledge of God problem for us. Because this has been going on too long, happened too many times for us not to realize that it's bigger than the individuals who you pointing the finger at. 5 and 13. Isaiah 5 and 13. Go ahead, read that one verse.
Therefore, my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge.
Wait a minute. We keep repeating. And this you can see the proof is in the pudding, because we sitting here and this is what we do, and people don't like it. Some people, they can be bored when they come here because we reading the Bible, dispensing some knowledge of God. Well, we know what God is about, what he required. But people don't like that. And all these churches that we got, they don't come close to dispensing no knowledge, do they? So we see the proof is in the pudding. We see what Paul said is true among our people. With all the churches we got a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. It's not based on knowledge. It's based on emotion. It's based on feeling. It's based on singing. But when that's over with, you go out and your kids get shot in the street. It's not based on serving God, because if you serving God, God will alleviate. He will alleviate. Like right now, we're in a predicament that he put us in, but even now, those that serving God, God said he's going to be a little sanctuary to us in the predicament before he deliver us totally out of the situation, because it's not going to last forever. That's the good news. See, and when you know that, you know it's something to look forward to. But when you don't know that, yeah, you go out and test something up. Because you like, is this all it is? They just going to keep killing us. Ain't nothing going to happen. Now, something going to happen, but you got to get some knowledge of God and what's going on in the first place. So he said, therefore my people, talking about Israel again, therefore my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge. You keep saying the same thing. This is the problem. And he's not talking about general knowledge. He's not talking about going and getting a high school diploma and a college degree. We got people that do that. That haven't benefited. He's talking about knowledge when it comes to God. And that's the sad thing. We got churches set up that the majority of them reject the knowledge that comes from God. So you are perpetuating your own demise, because God not going to accept that. He's not going to accept anything. He's going to keep letting you get slapped in the face or hit in the face. He's going to keep letting it happen because we were too close to God to get off easy. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge. Jesus said, the lawyers, woe unto you, Lord. That means they're going to pay in the end. They ain't taking away. That's the leaders, religious leaders, taking away the key. Now, Paul said, Israel, I bear on record, they got a zeal of God, not according to knowledge. Now he said, we gone into captivity. Well, how did we get here? As slaves. What are we now? We still in captivity. That's why we keep getting the short end of the stick. We don't even want to realize that. We thought when they signed the proclamation, whatever it's called, what is it? Huh? I don't even know what it is because I don't believe it. Emancipation Proclamation. We thought that freed us. That shows you we really don't have no knowledge. Only thing that did is loosen the grip of the chain some. But you still enslaved. That's why this keep happening. You still enslaved. That's why we keep getting the short end of the stick. So that wasn't the answer. The emancipation, what is it, proclamation? A proclamation. That didn't proclaim nothing. The only thing it did is loosen the chain some. You got a bigger slave field to run around in. That's all it did. And we still here because haven't went home. He said, therefore my people are gone into captivity because they had no knowledge. But we end up on slave ships because we had no knowledge. And what else? Finish that.
And their honorable men are famished.
And the honorable men, that's the leaders again. That's the so-called scholars or religious leaders. The honorable men, the so-called honorable men, they look honorable when you see them on TV, but the only problem is they don't have no knowledge because they would at least be, even if you can't do nothing about it, you can at least tell the people exactly what's going on. I don't see none of these leaders telling the people that keep going through this same situation that you, the children of Israel, are the Bible. And this is happening because your forefathers made God mad, and God put you in this situation for this to happen, for these bad things to happen to you. See, we've been told God ain't going to let nothing bad happen. Look, somebody lied to you. Obviously, somebody lied to you. And their honorable men are famished, spiritually speaking. Go ahead.
And their multitude dried up with thirst.
See, if the leader's famished, then the multitude, everybody else, they dying. They dried up with thirst. Thirst for what, though? We talking knowledge. Let's go further. Go to Hosea 4. Hosea 4. You can't get around it. Hosea 4. Hosea, the 4th chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. So again, we don't have a March on Ferguson problem or a burn it down problem. We done tried that. Obviously, that didn't work in L.A. What is that now? 20-something years ago. That didn't work in L.A. when they had a videotape. And then they had some riots in L.A. and other places back in the 60s. So that's over what? 50 years ago. Matter of fact, they had a community, neighborhood, that was the hood in L.A. called Watts. So they had a thing called the Watts riots. So I guess hadn't learned nothing in 30 years when the Rodney King thing jumped off. Now the only thing they did, they done phased all Israel out of Watts and got other people living in Watts, and it ain't nowhere near bad as it was now. And that's all. That's what Israel don't even know. They get phased out. Just waiting on an accident to happen. But what I say, Hosea 4:1. Go ahead.
Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel.
See, again, we talking about it. Israel, and this is word come from God. Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel. So that's the first mistake that we make as a people. We didn't let somebody tell us Israel don't matter, and the whole Bible is talking to Israel and pointing out Israel's predicament, and it don't fit nobody but us. And we don't even recognize. That's why, again, the title is Israel, O Israel. When will we learn? Paul was talking about Israel in Romans 10. Zeal with no knowledge. Jesus talked about the preachers taking away the key of knowledge. Isaiah talked about they gone into captivity, no knowledge. Now, Hosea, 4 different places, 4 different people, all addressing this predicament, and the problem is no knowledge. Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel. What's the problem?
For the Lord have a controversy with the inhabitants of the land.
Oh, see, this before we went into captivity. See, we went into captivity because of lack of knowledge, but we started off suffering in our own land because we didn't have no knowledge there. That's why we end up in captivity, but it started in the land. So he said, for the Lord hath the controversy with the inhabitants of the land. Why?
Because there is no truth, no mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land.
Oh, same thing, right? There's no truth, there's no mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. See, Israel, we are our own worst enemy. You already shooting yourself, killing yourself, and then gonna holler when somebody else do it. Hey, you doing a good job already. Because know what? There's no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. And you can say the same thing about we out of the land. Now, we in captivity, but that same thing in our community, even though we got all these churches, but there's no knowledge of God there. It's zeal. We praying and praising, but there's no knowledge. They don't even front like they trying to tell you about God and what you need to do and what the problem is. Nobody ain't even front. They can't even front good. Go ahead, verse 2. Let's see what's going on.
By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood toucheth blood.
See what he said? He said, and these are things, that's what people try to say, well, we don't need the law. The law is done away with. Well, you see the results of not needing the law. Things are just out of whack. Our churches teach we don't need no law. So, hey, yeah, in our own community, a lot of people live lawless. Like that's a good thing. Like I seen somebody said that one time, that's what you need to do. When somebody do a drive-by shooting or somebody break in your house, you'll be wanting the police to do something. But what if the police answer the phone and say, no, they okay. They broke in the house. They stole a lot of your stuff. Oh, well, ain't nothing we can do. They under grace. That wouldn't make no sense to nobody. But that's what you telling people about, not the fact that we don't receive grace for what we've done, but that don't mean you don't keep the law in the future. Because if you say that, that's just saying, I can go ahead and sin, I can break in your house, commit adultery, and I can fall back on grace. People don't know. Romans 3 tell you that Jesus died for our past sins, to get us from under our past transgression. Now from now on, you're going to have some works to go with your faith. He said in Romans 3, do we make void the law through faith? God forbid. We established the law. That's what he said in Romans 3:31. So why does our churches, with this lack of knowledge, preach we don't need the law? This is the problem. By swearing, lying, killing, stealing, and committing adultery, they break out and blood touches blood. It's just blood all over the place. Even before the police get there and kill you, blood already been spilled. This was in our own land. Go ahead.
Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish.
This when we had our land. Remember, we went into captivity for not serving God, not knowing and serving God. Go ahead.
With the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of heaven. Yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away.
See, the Lord said, I'm going to mess everything up for you. But skip to verse 6. Back to the square one. Go ahead.
My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
For what?
For lack of knowledge.
That's the problem. He didn't say my people are destroyed for lack of marching. He didn't say that, did he? That's what we act like that's going to solve something. Look, I'm telling you, it's not going to solve nothing. The history just keep repeating itself. It's not going to solve nothing. Pretty soon, people going to get tired of walking, and they're going to be back in their living room watching the news when somebody else get killed. That's not the problem. My people are destroyed. This is the problem. For a lack of knowledge, and not just any knowledge, knowledge of God. Knowledge to serve and please God. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Go ahead.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge.
And that's what we do. Every Sunday, people reject knowledge. Matter of fact, the preacher don't even bring none in, so it ain't really nothing for them to reject. But when some of us run into some of our people and try to shed some knowledge on the situation, people reject knowledge. You tell them, well, look, we need to go to church on the seventh day because the Bible say that. That's the knowledge the Bible give you. Oh, no, my pastor say it changed. My pastor say it don't matter. Your pastor not in the Bible, though. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because thou hast rejected knowledge. I what?
I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me.
Seeing what?
Seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of God, I will also forget thy children.
Oh, wait a minute. He went further to say, you're not even going to be no priest. See, that's why we nothing now. See, in Exodus 19, you read that on your own. God ordained Israel when we came out of our first captivity, first slavery in ancient Egypt. Moses brought us out. Soon as Moses brought us out, God talked to them at the mountain, talked to Moses at the mountain first. Exodus 19, he said, Moses, this is what I want you to tell Israel. I brought them out of Egypt. You tell Israel that if they obey me, I'm going to make them a kingdom of priests, a holy nation, a whole kingdom of priests. See, that's why we got a zeal of God, because we was meant to be a kingdom of priests. But now we just won't do it according to knowledge. He told them, I'm going to make them a kingdom of priests, a holy nation. But that was predicated on us continue to obey him, keep his law, and we could show other people about him. But since we didn't do it, he said here, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. This is what you need to find out. Obviously, since we keep getting hit in the face, God has rejected us. He said he's going to reject thee. Then he said that thou shalt be no priest to me. See, he stripped us of being his priest for the time being. But thank God it's only for the time being, because he don't change. See, we ain't been no priest here lately. We've been dog meat lately. That's all we've been. Literally, I'm talking about getting hung on all the trees. All that was identify us as being cursed people. He said, I will reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God. What he said at the end there?
I will also forget thy children.
Wait a minute. You mean God said he will? This is God talking, brothers and sisters, through the prophet. I will forget your children. And now you wonder why all kind of bad stuff happened to our children. And when it's in the Bible saying we rejected and we still rejecting what God told us to do, he said he will reject you and forget your children. Now, who do you think this fit? When you look around at all the nations on the planet and then look at the young people from those nations, what young people or children have been forgotten, it seems like, by God? Only one people. That's Israel. That's who he's talking about. He said, I will also forget thy children. But see, the good news is that he's going to remember, because he can't change. And he's going to take Israel back and make us a holy nation all over again, a nation of priests. But that is predicated. We still got to turn back and start obeying his law, because this is what got us in trouble. Not marching and get us in trouble. Not rioting and tearing up your own community. Obviously, that didn't get you in trouble. But not adhering to God's law and following it got us in trouble. So once we rectify that problem, then it's going to get better, and he's going to deliver us from this situation. Isaiah 61 said he's going to make us a kingdom of priests all over again, and everybody going to have to come to us to find out about God. See, that's what the future holds, but we have to start doing what we didn't do in the first place. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. Amos 4. But every place we read, he said, we have a knowledge problem, a knowledge of God problem. That's the problem. Four and 1. Amos 4 and verse 1. Go ahead.
Hear this word, ye kind of Bashan, that are in the mountain of Samaria, which oppress the poor.
Now, he's not talking about no cows, brothers and sisters. God used symbolism a lot. So when he said ye kind of Bashan, he talking about these Israelites. Because Israelites, we've been a crooked people a long time. You even have some Israelites, so messed up Israelites, and some of the Muslim brothers, because they got the same doctrine, and they want to blame everybody, but, and don't want to look at the real problem and take responsibility. But you have a lot of the Israelites and these same Muslim brothers that act as if we just somehow got kind of messed up, because they admit that we messed up as a people, but they act as if we just kind of got messed up because we in the Gentile land. We over here, we learn these heathen ways. Look, we've been wicked a long time. That's why we end up in the Gentiles land. What they call white people. They want to act like the white people done polluted us. No, you really want to know the truth. You done polluted the white people. Because we the ones supposed to have the knowledge of God to show them how to do right. Once we fell off, hey, they didn't have a chance. So you can't say they polluted you. We the only people really knew God and could have helped straighten them out. Hey, we the ones. So this is going back to when we were in the land. We've been wicked. He said, hear this word, ye kine of Bashan that are in the mountain of Samaria. This is when we was in our own land. What he said? He said, which oppressed the poor. We was oppressing the poor in our own land. Go ahead.
Which crushed the needy.
And crushed the needy. Go ahead.
Which say to their masters, bring and let us drink.
Go ahead.
The Lord God have sworn by his holiness that, lo, the day shall come upon you that he will take away with hooks and your posterity with fishing hooks.
Now look, see the Lord, he talking about Israel here. This is Israel to the T. He said, look, the days come since you so wicked, you oppress the needy, you crush the needy, oppress the poor. The days come, said the Lord, that I'm going to take you away. He done sworn. He said, I sworn by my holiness. God said, I'm holy, and I swear by my holiness that eventually I'm going to take you away with hooks. See, that's how we went into slavery. See, God make things happen, brothers and sisters. No accident. So he said, I'm going to take you away with hooks. That's what he did. He had people come put some hooks in us and drag us like some cattle somewhere else. Put you on slave ships like cattle with hooks in you. Hey, God made it happen. He said that he will take you away with hooks and your posterity. You know what your posterity is? That's your children. And your posterity with fish hooks. And what's going to happen? Verse 3.
And ye shall go out at the breaches, every cow at that which is before her. And ye shall cast them into the palace, saith the Lord.
Go ahead.
Come to Bethel and transgress, and Gilgal multiply transgression, and bring your sacrifices every morning, and your tithes after 3 years.
See, this is nothing new, brothers and sisters. This is what, when Paul said it, the first scripture we read, Romans 10, Paul said, look, my prayer to God is for Israel. He said, look, I need to be praying for my own people Israel. My prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved because we got a problem, he said. He said, I bear them record, talking about his own people, that they have a zeal. Israel has a zeal of God, but no knowledge. In other words, here you call yourself worshiping God, but you won't come close to doing it right. Like he said here, he said, I'm going to take you out with fish hooks. So in the meantime, go on and do your thing, Israel. This is really what he's saying. Verse 4, he said, come on to Bethel and transgress. See, that's what we doing. See, we go to church and don't stop transgressing. Matter of fact, we go to church and the preacher said, all the law done away with, so people just keep fornicating in the church. Keep stealing in the church. Come to Bethel and transgress. At Gilgal, multiply transgression and bring your sacrifices every morning and your tithes after 3. He said, go ahead, because I know what y'all like to do. Y'all like to sin, and then you're going to make an offering to me. Go ahead and do it, because I got some fish hooks for your butt. I'm going to take you out. That's what he's saying. Go ahead, verse 5.
And offer a sacrifice of thanksgiving with leaven.
He said, go ahead, offer a sacrifice with thanksgiving and leaven. Go ahead.
And proclaim and publish the free offering. For this liketh you, O ye children of Israel, saith the Lord God.
He said, I know what you like. You like to play church and worship God and keep doing your own sin. Keep doing your own thing. So, and I've been hurting you. I'm going to bring you out with some hooks in a minute, but I've been hurting you already. You ain't paid attention. See, this is the title of the lesson. Israel, oh Israel, when will we learn? God is telling you, you're messing up and you still call yourself worshiping me, but I'm hurting you bad. And you don't even pay it no attention. Verse 6. Go ahead. We at Amos 4 and 6. Go ahead.
And I also have given you cleanliness of teeth.
I have given you cleanness of teeth. That's not good. You know, you think you get your teeth clean and stuff. Yeah, he's not talking about that. He said, look, I have also given you cleanness of teeth. I ain't giving, really, he said, I ain't giving you nothing to eat. You ain't got to worry about getting them clean. I'm going to give you some clean teeth because you ain't going to have nothing to eat put between them. I have also given you cleanness of teeth. Go ahead.
In all your cities.
Uh-huh.
And want of bread in all your places.
And want of bread in all your places. Go ahead.
Yet have ye not returned unto me, saith the Lord.
He said, but yet you haven't returned unto me. Because God do it all. It don't happen unless he do it. When we going to learn that? Verse 7.
And also I have withholden the rain from you.
See, you can't blame the white man if you don't get no rain, can you? He said, I'm withholding the rain from you. Go ahead.
When there were yet 3 months to the harvest.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've had some Israelites blame. No, see, they did something to make it not rain. You know, they put, hey, even if they did do something, God is allowing them to do it. And right here, God is saying, I have withholden the rain from you. And when there were yet 3 months to the harvest, go ahead.
And I caused it to rain upon one city.
He said, I showed you what I could do. I let it rain over here, but I didn't let none rain over there. Just to try to help you a little bit and made all y'all realize that now all y'all got to go to this city to get some food. He said, I caused it to rain upon one city. Go ahead.
And caused it not to rain upon another city.
See, that's how God do it. That's even some mercy. He might let some bad stuff happen over here, but he still don't let nothing bad happen in this place. Go ahead.
One piece was rained upon, and the piece whereupon it rained not withered. Mm-hmm. So 2 or 3 cities wandered unto one city to drink water, but they were not satisfied.
But they still didn't get satisfied. Go ahead.
Yet have ye not returned unto me, saith the Lord.
When will you learn? Go ahead.
I have smitten you with blasting and mildew.
See, God do this. Go ahead.
When your gardens and your vineyards and your fig trees and your olive trees increase, the palmer worm devoured them.
See, what could go wrong? God said, I'm making it go wrong for this people. You name it, I'm making it go wrong. See, you can't blame people for everything that go wrong. Go ahead.
Yet have ye not returned unto me.
But see, all this, God is trying to get you to return. So don't you think if your kids keep getting killed in the street, killed unjustly by the police, and nobody is held accountable, don't you think God got a say-so in that? Can't you realize he's trying to show you something? He's trying to get your attention. That's a strong attention getter. He said, verse 9, I have smitten you with blasting and mildew. And when your gardens and your vineyards and your fig trees and your olive trees increase, he said, when they did increase, the palmer worm devoured them. Yet what? You have not returned unto me, said the Lord. Verse 10.
I have sent among you the pestilence after the manner of Egypt.
Diseases. He said, I gave you diseases. Still doing it today. Go ahead.
Your young men have I slain with the sword.
Oh, wait a minute. Your what? Your young men have I slain with the sword. See, God said he slayed some young men with the sword, brothers and sisters, right here. See, God don't have to come down off his throne and slay nobody with the sword, though, do he? How did God slay some young men with the sword? He let somebody else do it. See, God, how you going to act like God is not in control of a young man getting killed in the street? And then don't nobody even feel guilty about it. Well, he shouldn't have been doing what he was doing. Maybe he shouldn't have been doing what he was doing, but did that call for the death penalty? But God said he did it. In God's judgment, he said, I'm giving you the death penalty. He said, I have sent among you the pestilence after the manner of Egypt. Your young men have I slain with the sword. Who did it? God did it, didn't he? Go ahead.
and have taken away your horses.
Uh-huh.
And I have made the stink of your camps to come up upon your nostrils.
Uh-huh.
Yet have ye not returned unto me, saith the Lord.
Sound like God trying to get Israel's attention, and we still won't listen, will we? That's why the title is Israel. Oh, Israel. When will we learn? He said he killed your young men with the sword. See, God got to be in control of it. Verse 11.
I have overthrown some of you, as God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah.
Not all. He has some mercy on some, but he said, I have overthrown some of you, as God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. Go ahead.
And ye were as a firebrand plucked out of the burning. Mm-hmm. Yet have ye not returned unto me, saith the Lord.
See, the ones that escaped was like firebrand, plucked out the burning, but still the ones left don't return. Go ahead.
Therefore, thus will I do unto thee, O Israel.
He says, since you won't return, I'm hurting you bad. I'm hurting you real bad, O Israel. So now, and you still won't return, thus will I do unto thee, O Israel. Go ahead.
And because I will do this unto thee, prepare to meet thy God, O Israel.
He said, look, this is what been doing to you, and this is what I'm going to do unto you, O Israel. And because of that, prepare to meet your God, O Israel. Go ahead.
For lo, he that formeth the mountains, and createth the wind, and declareth unto man what his thought, that maketh the morning darkness, and treadeth upon the high places of the earth. Mm-hmm. The Lord, the God of hosts, is his name.
Hey, he the one got all the power. It can't happen without him. But we haven't learned this. With all this going on, we want to attribute to everybody but God. It don't work like that. Jeremiah 9, and we're going to pick it up at verse 12. This is all over the Bible. But we see Israel's problem is not serving God, not listening, getting the knowledge from God, and following it. Jeremiah 9, and we're going to pick it up at verse 12. Jeremiah 9 and 12. Okay, go ahead. When you get there, go ahead and read. Jeremiah 9 and 12. Go ahead.
Who is the wise man that may understand this? And who is he to whom the mouth of the Lord hath spoken? That he may declare it.
Declare what?
For what the land perisheth and is burned up like a wilderness, that none passeth through.
See, even when we was in our own land before we went into captivity, which he told you that was going to happen, he was bringing all this drama on us, left and right, hitting us upside the head left and right, and we still wouldn't return. So he asked the question, who is a wise man that may understand this? See, the Lord wants you to get some understanding about what's going on. Get some knowledge about what's going on. It's not a coincidence. And who is he that the mouth of the Lord hath spoken, that he may declare it? See, this is what we doing. We declaring it. We declaring why we constantly in this bad situation. Why history keep repeating itself. We declaring it. This is what he was saying back here. Who is a wise man to whom the mouth of the Lord has spoken, that he may declare what at this time? For what the land perisheth. You know, why is Israel's land perishing? We don't have a land now, and we think that's okay. Who can declare why the land perished and burned up like a wilderness that none passed? Who can tell us why? Let's see why. 13.
And the Lord saith, because they have forsaken my law, which I have set before them.
Oh, same old story. And keep in mind, we got all these churches now that do the same thing. So has it gotten better? What we do, we keep perpetuating the problem. And then want to get out there and march. God ain't never told you to march that was the problem. That's not it. Then want to test stuff up. God didn't tell you to do that. You didn't solve nothing. Matter of fact, you made a longer distance to go to the store now for you. He didn't tell you to do that. That's not the answer. That wasn't the problem in the first place, so it can't be the solution. The problem is the reason why we jammed up. He said, the Lord said, because they have forsaken my law, which I set before them. That's what we've done. And kick against it to this day. Go ahead.
And have not obeyed my voice, neither walked therein.
Go ahead.
But have walked after the imagination after the imagination of their own heart.
That's what Paul was saying. We got a zeal of God, not according to knowledge. We won't repent and humble ourselves to God's righteousness. We establish our own. What we say is right is okay. Go ahead.
And after Balaam, which their fathers taught them.
And walk out to Balaam. That's a false god back in the day. We still worshiping Balaam today. That's one of the ways you got Sunday as the Sabbath day. The sun god. But he said walked out to Balaam, which their
fathers taught them.
See, we think we can serve God any kind of way, but no, if you're not doing what the Bible says, you serving another God. He said, don't have no other gods before me. He hate that. That's one of the things got us in trouble. And no preacher in none of our churches preaches about worshiping another God or serving God wrong, because you can do whatever. Look, that's what been got us in trouble. 15.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will feed them, even this people, with wormwood.
Look, see what God said? This is God talking, brothers and sisters. God said, I'm mad at you for not keeping my law. I'm going to feed you, okay? You know what I'm going to feed you with? Wormwood. I'm going to give you some wormwood to eat. I'm going to give you, you see, that's why we've been thinking it was real good to eat some chitlins. We've been thinking that was good. Oh, let me get some hot sauce and put it on some chitlins. Look, God said he's going to feed you with some mess here, some wormwood. And what else? What he going to give you to drink?
And give them water of gall to drink.
And give them water of gall to drink. This one we was in our land, but he said, you ain't going to stay there. What you going to do? What he going to do? 16.
I will scatter them also among the heathen.
See, that's what he did. This is how we at all these countries where we at, and we being mistreated in these countries. He didn't just scatter you so you could be normal like everybody else. That's why we got to try to get some rights, because he didn't scatter you to be like everybody else and be normal. God not going to let you be normal. He's not going to let Israel be like all the other people. God is on your back. See, God is something else. God kicked us out of our land, which he gave to us, his land. But that wasn't enough for God. What did he say? Read it, verse 16.
I will scatter them also among the heathen, who neither they nor their fathers have known.
Heathen mean nations. Go ahead.
And I will send a sword after them, till I have consumed them.
See, God is something else, isn't he? God not just going to let you go. You know, most parents, God is our parent. Most parents, the best we can do, you got an unruly child, you got disobedient children, they get to a certain age, they don't want to obey. The best most parents can do is get them the boot. Bill, get out of here. Kick them out, right? That's about the best a parent can do. But God is he a rough parent. He gonna kick you out. He gave you the boot. He gave Israel the boot. Then he follow you around with that boot to all your friends' house and keep kicking your butt. Everywhere you go. That's what parents need to do nowadays. That's what I tried to do to my son. Hey, he ended up on the lead, but I'm like, I'm going to chase you around. I did for a while. He wore me out, though. But this is what God said, right? God said, read it again, because y'all don't hear me.
I will scatter them also among the heathen.
He said, I'm going to scatter Israel among the heathen. Go ahead.
Whom neither they nor their fathers have known.
To the nations, these lands that you didn't know nothing about. We didn't know nothing about no America, but we got scattered here down to the islands, all these countries where we at. Even in some African countries. We think we Africans. No, you didn't know nothing about those countries. But you got scattered among the heathen, whom neither they nor their fathers have known. And then what God do when he scattered you? Go ahead.
And I will send a sword after them.
And he got a sword following behind you. Go ahead.
Till I have consumed them.
Till he had consumed. That's what he doing. He consumed us. He going to save a remnant, but he study consumed us. That's why we got young brothers getting killed at will. 17.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider ye and call for the morning woman.
Boy, God is rough. Boy, y'all don't know this God. People don't know this God. You want to blame man, you better look to the one who got the control. God would tell you in advance. He said, look, thus said the Lord. He said, I want you to consider this. Consider what I'm saying and already do something for yourself. What did he say do? Call for who?
The morning women.
Call for the morning women. Go ahead.
That they may come. And send for cunning women. That they may come.
You see what God said? He said, look, I'm going to tell you, I'm getting ready to hurt you so bad. I'm going to hurt you. Get them good morning women together. Because I'm going to give them something to cry about. This is what God is saying. He said, and that probably everybody in their family probably got a good morning grandmother or auntie or somebody that really know how to set it off at a funeral. I'm talking about just go to town. Everything be quiet and all of a sudden they break. This is what God's saying. This is what he's saying. He said, look, do yourself a favor. Call them in advance. Call for the morning women and that they may come, and send for the cunning women that they may come. And let them do what? 18.
And let them make haste and take up a wailing for us.
He said, let them make haste and get over here and take up a wailing for us. See, this is how I know, hey, we're going to have some more mothers on TV crying for their children because God's not done. He says they may make haste and take up a wailing for us that what?
That our eyes may run down with tears and our eyelids gush out with water. For a voice of wailing is heard out of Zion. How are we spoiled?
How are we spoiled? We just destroyed. We robbed of everything. Go ahead.
We are greatly confounded because we have forsaken the land because our dwelling have cast us out. Yet hear the word of the Lord, O ye women, and let your ear receive the word of his mouth, and teach your daughters wailing.
Wait a minute, go ahead.
And every one her neighbor lamentation.
See, he said, look, it ain't going to stop with y'all. He said, matter of fact, teach your daughters how to wail. See, this was study going on. But God is the author of it. He said, teach your daughters wailing, and everyone her neighbor lamentate. Teach them how to lament and mourn, because I've got some drama coming your way. I'm going to give you something to cry about for real. And this is what's going on. Every time you turn around, we got mothers on TV crying for the young men that have been slain. Why is that? Go ahead, 21.
For death has come up into our windows.
Wait a minute. Death has come up into our windows. That, you know, when it come up in your windows, ain't no getting away from it. Death is come up in our windows. What does it come up in our windows to do? See, you think everything is fine. All of a sudden, death then came up in your windows. Go ahead.
And is entered into our palaces.
To do what?
To cut off the children from without.
To cut off the children from without. Go ahead.
And the young men from the streets.
And the young men from the street. That's where the young men be at, don't they? But death come up in your windows and cut them off from the street. Let's go a little further. But God is the one saying it. Deuteronomy 32. Deuteronomy 32. And we're going to pick it up at verse 8. Deuteronomy 32. See, this is how important Israel was to God. So when we messed up, he said, I'm going to do you in. But the good news is he's going to save a remnant. And a remnant that's going to obey and do what should have been done in the first place. 32 and 8. Go ahead.
When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
See, that's what the Lord did. He set everything up around Israel. That's how important Israel is to him. That's why even Jesus, when he came, since Jacob, Israel, whose name was changed to Israel, since he had 12 sons, 12 tribes of Israel. When Jesus came, what he had? 12 apostles. He had some more followers, but he stopped it at 12 apostles. Because everything is set up according to this. He said when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. 12 tribes of Israel. Jesus had 12 apostles, 12 hours in a day, 12 in the night, 12 months in a year. New Jerusalem in Revelation 21 got 12 gates on it, and you can go on and on. The Lord set it up. That's how important Israel is to him. But by Israel being so important, he going to make sure we get hurt for this disobedience. He made sure we was going to get hurt so bad, he said, you can call for the wailing women already. Get them women that know how to cry good at a funeral. Call for them already, because I got something for you. Man, he going to tell you here. He set everything up from around Israel, verse 9.
For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance.
See, that's the Lord's portion, Israel. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. But what did Jacob do? We just saw already. We went contrary to God. That's how you can identify Jacob. Jacob got cursed. Skip over to verse 16 and go ahead.
They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods.
See, that's what we did. We don't think it's no problem worshiping God any way we feel like it. But you worshiping a strange God when you don't do what the God of this Bible tell you. They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. Go ahead.
With abominations provoked they him to anger.
With abominations provoked they him to anger. Go ahead.
They sacrifice unto devils, not to God.
See, that's what we making sacrifices and singing and dancing. But if you're not walking with the God in truth, the God of this Bible, then you sacrifice it to the devil, not to God. Go ahead.
To gods whom they knew not. To new gods that came newly up.
See, our forefathers didn't know nothing and wasn't serving the God of Christmas. They wasn't around December 25th giving presents to one another to honor no so-called God. They wasn't even getting them a turkey on a Thursday in Thanksgiving to thank God. Don't you know Thanksgiving in the Bible, many times, and not one time do it say set aside a Thursday in November to do it. See, but these are other gods. If it's not honoring the God of this Bible, who do you think is honoring? So you call yourself having worship, having a sacrifice. You go to church every Sunday, which the God of this Bible didn't tell you to do. Then you set aside a Thursday and get you some turkey and dressing. Then you got Easter and Christmas. He said they sacrifice unto devils, not to God, to gods whom they knew not. Then he said to new gods. See, you can make up a God tomorrow and dedicate something to him. Say from now on, every Tuesday, we're going to have a fish fry to honor God. Look, that's a new God you just made up. To new gods that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not. Verse 18.
Of the rock that begat thee, thou art unmindful, and hast forgotten God that formed thee. And when the Lord saw it, he abhorred them, because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters.
See, this is what happened. This is what got us in trouble. We started worshiping all kind of false gods. And when the Lord saw it, he got mad. He said when the Lord saw it, he abhorred them. Now remember, he set everything up around this people. But when we crossed the line, he said he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and the daughters. Because the Lord don't take anything. We dealing with a dangerous God, and we don't know it, and still don't know it. That's why the title is Israel, O Israel. When will we learn? Go ahead.
And he said, I will hide my face from them.
See, he said, I'm going to hide my face from them. See, that's what's going on. See, God don't have to come down here and do nothing to you. All God got to do is say, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to protect you. I'm going to let what happened to you happen to you, and everybody else going to come and start beating you up. And God he's not even going to raise a finger to help you. That's all God got to do. That's what he said. I will hide my face from them. Go ahead.
I will see what their end shall be.
It's not good. Go ahead.
For they are a very forward generation. Children in whom is no faith.
No faith. See, faith was back here. Israel just didn't exhibit any. Go ahead.
They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God.
See, we provoke God to jealousy. We start worshiping false gods, which are no gods, doing things contrary to him. We're going to dedicate ourselves to some false gods. That provoked God to jealousy. See, God then flipped it back on us. Now he provoking us to jealousy with people. Letting them do anything to you. And they get away with it. Go ahead.
They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation.
See, he said, I'm going to provoke you to anger and jealousy with the foolish that people do you wrong. See, and that's what messed the Gentiles up. Even when slavery was harder, I don't say it's over because we know it's not over yet. It won't be over till you leave from where you've been held captive here and go home. But even when it was harder, when slavery was much harsher, things have gotten somewhat better. Like I said, the leasing got a little longer. But when it was much harder, the Gentiles show you their mentality. They really was believing their own doo-doo. They were smelling their own doo-doo, thinking that they just was so much smarter than Israel. They had it legally on the books that Israel, that we were 3/5 of a man. They had it legally put that way. This made it like, see, we just, they not a real man, so that's why we can do this. No, you fooled yourself now. You fooled yourself. And still, some of that thinking still persists. That's why they don't have no problem saying, look, we can kill one of them because they nothing but some animals anyway. Look, I want to know really. I understand God did it. But how in the heck did the one that get brought over here and mistreated all the time get treated like an animal? How in the heck all of a sudden he the bad guy and he the animal now? That never ceased to amaze me. But the thing is, I know that God is the one allowed it to happen. But what I'm saying is the Gentiles need to wake up and realize, look, God is the one made this happen. You not better than nobody. You didn't make this happen on your own. You haven't been able to be over this people because you just so much smarter and wiser. This is what God is saying here. He said, look, verse 21, talk about Israel. They have provoked me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with the foolish things. That's what God is doing. 22, go ahead.
For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn unto the lowest hell.
Go ahead.
And shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains.
See, God is mad at us. That's what's going on. And that's what everybody needs to recognize, especially Israel, but not just Israel, the other people who've been mistreating Israel, because Israel has been mistreated. Make no mistake about it. But they need to realize that's happened because God was upset with us. Go ahead.
I will heap mischiefs upon them.
See what God said? He said, I'm going to heap mischief. Who have more mischief heaped upon them than Israel, than us? Go ahead.
I will spin my arrows upon them.
You know it's rough when God say he going to spin his arrows on you. Go ahead.
They shall be burnt with hunger and devoured and devoured with burning heat.
You name it. Go ahead.
And with bitter destruction.
What else?
I will also send the teeth of beasts upon them. With the poisons of serpents of the dust.
So he naming all kind of stuff, brothers and sisters, and you can't attribute that. You can't blame man for every bad thing that happened to you. You can't blame Gentiles for Israelites killing one another in the streets. So he naming all kind of stuff. What else? 25.
The sword without.
The sword without.
And terror within.
And terror within. Go ahead.
Shall destroy both the young man and the virgin, the suckling also with the man of gray hair.
See, everybody get destroyed. The young man, the virgin, the suckling, and the man of gray hair. 26.
And I said I would scatter them into corners.
And that's where we at. Go ahead.
I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men.
And that's why we don't even remember who we were. We lost. We've been Negro, colored, black, Afro-American. We done forgot who we were. And nobody else acknowledges who we were because he said he going to cause the remembrance of them to see. That don't mean we was going to get annihilated. He let you know it's still some here. That's why he said, I'm going to scatter you in the corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Verse 27, he going to tell you he going to get to rectifying it, though, too. Go ahead.
Were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, lest their adversaries should behave themselves strangely.
He said, look, this didn't happen because I feared the wrath of the enemy. He said, this didn't happen because of the enemy, like the enemy was so strong. He said, so the adversaries should behave themselves strangely, which is what's going on. Go ahead.
Unless they should say, our hand is high, and the Lord have not done all this.
See, that's exactly what the Gentiles have done. They say, look, we run this, our hand is high, and, you know, they don't acknowledge that God is doing this either. They don't understand where this is coming from, how it got to be this way. And the Lord warned them. He said, lest they should say, our hand is high. Just like they said, well, they 3/5 of a man. And really believe that. Say, our hand is high, and the Lord have not done all this. Yeah, the Lord has done all this. All of it. Go ahead.
For they are a nation void of counsel.
Now he talking about the enemy. He talking about the Gentiles. Go ahead.
Neither is there any understanding in them. Oh, that they were wise. That they understood this. That they would consider this latter end.
See, that's going to be a problem for the Gentiles, because even though we had this coming, but then the Lord going to have to deal with them. Because you done fooled yourself to think that you really in the right and ain't did nothing wrong. And even when the Lord said, okay, well, I was punishing my people, enough is enough, I want to bring them back home. What do you think the Gentiles are going to say? Oh, okay. Y'all, it's time for y'all to go now. No, they're going to do just like Pharaoh. We like it like this now. And they not going to want to stop. They're not going to want to let the slaves go. Even though some people say, you know, some Gentiles say, you know, well, why don't y'all go back to Africa where y'all came from? Well, hey, somebody need to send us back because we didn't come on our own. But see, that ain't going to happen. It's going to happen when the Lord take Israel back and the Gentiles not going to let go willingly. Because they think that they have orchestrated all of this and are on top ruling by their own means instead of acknowledging that God let it happen like this. He said, 29, oh, that they were wise and that they understood this, that they might consider their latter end. Verse 30.
How should one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight, except their rock had sold them and the Lord had shut them up?
See, he gave an example. He said, look, people need to realize, how should one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight, except their rock had sold them and the Lord has shut them up? In other words, how can this people do this other people in so perfectly unless the Lord is against us? The Lord has to be against us for this to keep happening to us, for history to keep repeating itself, and we haven't learned yet. Go ahead.
For their rock is not as our rock.
But now that's good. I'm sorry. Go to. We're gonna wrap it up. Go to Zechariah 11. Zechariah 11. See, it's something for everybody here. The title is Israel, O Israel, when will you learn? But hey, the Gentiles need to realize too that the Lord allowed this to happen for our disobedience, not that they are smarter and better that somebody, they want to look down on Israel. They just a bunch of animals. Like the even policeman said, well, I saw a demon. Where the demon come from? Something was happening to make whatever come out. But now, Zechariah 11 and verse 4. But the Lord, he called it all. He the one said it the way it is. 11 and 4. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord, my God, feed the flock of the slaughter, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty.
See, Israel is a flock of the slaughter now. That's all that, because we've been slaughtered across the countryside. He said, thus said the Lord, feed the flock of the slaughter. Then he said, whose possessors. That means somebody is being possessed by somebody. Well, who been possessed over here in this country? This black people been possessed by the Gentiles, right? And really, again, we don't realize we still being possessed. That's why we don't run nothing, don't own nothing as a whole. He said, whose possessors slay them. But worse than your possessors slaying you, what do your possessors think about when they slay you? And this is what we've been seeing all along. This is something that the Lord had written in the Bible, so when you see it, you know where it's coming from. Read it again, verse 5. Go ahead.
Whose possessors slay them.
They slay them, then what?
And hold themselves not guilty.
Oh, and they not guilty at all, are they? Isn't that what we've been seeing? So why should we not know that the Lord is orchestrating it? Your possessors slay you and hold themselves not guilty. That's even if it's get to be a trial. If it get to be a trial, it's not guilty, right? But now they getting so slick, they say, we ain't going to go through no trial for this. We know they ain't did nothing wrong. They ain't did nothing wrong. Just doing their job. And they shouldn't have been resisting. Yeah, but that didn't call for the death penalty. Like they had this guy on the news, he pointed out that the grand jury was so slick in Ferguson, not the grand jury, but the prosecutor who's supposed to be trying to get the policeman arrested and prosecuted. They so slick, the assistant prosecutor going to give them an old law where the law used to be that the police could shoot people that's fleeing away, which is what happened at first. They used to be able to shoot people that's fleeing, but really that law is outdated. But that's what they told the people. That's what they gave to the grand jury, an outdated law. And then going to halfway, didn't even correct it really at the end, after 3-4 weeks, a month of testimony at the end before it's all done. Well, we want to, just mention something. We gave you something in the beginning. It really wasn't quite right. It wasn't really wrong, but it wasn't right. Folded in half. And really, something in there that, just so convoluted. I understand why the grand jury wasn't going to find them guilty anyway. Wasn't going to even find them liable. Because that's all that was. But even if, they just say, look, we're going to save the taxpayers some money. There's no need to have no trial because he's not guilty. Same thing in New York, but it's been going on. Again, people say, well, if they had a videotape, well, they didn't have videotapes, right? So we know a videotape wouldn't matter. It didn't matter with Rodney King. Had the videotape. Then went to trial. What come out the trial? What he said right here. Read it again, verse 5.
Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty.
But what we need to understand, the Lord is allowing this. He had it written in the word. Your possessors slay you and they hold themselves not guilty. And then you've been sold like cattle and other people then got rich. Slave owners then got rich from selling slaves and buying slaves. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. What else?
And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord.
And they that sell them praise the Lord, don't they? And they don't feel like they should feel bad about it. Go ahead.
For I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not.
See, and they don't feel bad because Israel's own preachers don't pity them. They won't tell them nothing, won't help them at all. Only thing the preacher's trying to do is get a piece of the pie. They want to be like the Gentiles, like the slave owners. They not trying to help nobody. Their own shepherds don't pity them. See, that's why they always got preachers standing up with the lady who done lost her son on TV. But the problem with that is he haven't told them none of this in the first place. Then they would know what's going on. Let's go further. Go to Isaiah 42. But this is in the Bible, but we still don't know that this all came about for our disobedience. And the Lord is making it happen. It can't happen if the Lord didn't want it to happen, brothers and sisters. But when will we learn that? That this is happening by way of the Lord, only by way of the Lord, because the Lord is, obviously the Lord is mad at this people if you believe in God. And he keep letting this same stuff happen, keep letting you get done in, keep letting you get hit in the face. And it's so clear. That's why he said, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, because it's clear to the people who being slayed that there's some guilt there. But in the other people's minds who doing the slaying, it's just as clear to them, ain't nobody did nothing wrong. So it's like two different worlds, right? And it's always like that. Across the board. Even you see some of these TV pundits, even most of the black pundits, even the black lawyers, they be like, yeah, this, it's wrong. But then they got the white lawyers, oh no, they couldn't charge them with that. There wasn't enough evidence. And the black lawyer like, what was you watching? All of just across the board, it's like two different worlds. Same thing with years ago with O.J. Simpson. All the Gentiles knew he was guilty. See, that's one time Israel thought they won one. We thought we got one. And I'm talking about Israel was rooting for O.J. Say, look, we need to win one once in a while. And I'm talking about then Israel across the board, black people like, hey, he innocent. From what I see at the trial, it don't look like he, I don't see that they prove him guilty. But Gentiles just saw, oh, he guilty. He guilty. He did it. Two different worlds, right? But that's what the Lord said. Isaiah 42 and verse 22. Go ahead.
But this is a people robbed and spoiled.
See, this is Israel. Israel done had everything taken, robbed and spoiled. I mean, you just been plundered. You just been raped of everything. This is a people robbed and spoiled. Go ahead.
They are all of them snared in holes.
Snared in holes. A hole is some type of trouble. Snared in a hole. Even I knew, they don't say it that much no more, but brothers used to have a saying all the time. Ask a brother, man, how you doing? Oh, man, I got one foot in the hole, the other one on the banana peel. That means, hey, he was in the hole, and he did not know where to get out, because the one little foot he had some leverage on, he said he was on a banana peel. So he's all the way in the hole. But he hadn't even read this. The Lord told you that. He just didn't give you the banana peel. This is the people robbed and spoiled. They're all of them snared in holes. And where else they trapped at?
And they are hid in prison houses.
And again, and that's why they justify shooting. They said, well, y'all committing all the crimes. Come on, everybody commit crimes. And it's so less it's so less of Israel, you know, it's so many more other people, you know something is unbalanced. So, and even Gentiles that's in the criminal justice system, they say, oh, we know it's a problem with the criminal justice system, but every case pop up, a lot of them say, well, this ain't the one, though. You know, they was justified in killing them. This ain't the one. We got to find another one. Well, look, we'll point out some that is the case, because they admit it's a problem with the criminal justice system. Well, here you go right here. The Lord made it this way. He said this people robbed and spoiled. They all snared in holes. They are hid in prison houses. So you could be the minority, but in prison you're going to be the majority. Go ahead.
They are for a prey, and none deliver it.
See, that means somebody doing something wrong, brothers and sisters. So you ain't just hid in prison houses because you the only one committing crimes. Nah. They don't have no problem having a grand jury charge and then another jury convict Israel. It ain't no problem. And the prosecutor not going to go to the grand jury half-stepping when they send a case to them to try to charge an Israelite. Now, the prosecutor going to go full force. He ain't going to do like they did in this case with the cop and just lay everything out there, stuff that's going to help him. They don't do that. The grand jury, the prosecutor don't do that. The prosecutor show the grand jury what they want the grand jury to see so they can get a case against the person. They can have some stuff that might look favorable to the criminal. They won't show that to the grand jury because they're not trying to help the one they trying to charge. That show you how bogus the grand jury was with this guy, with the policeman. Not the grand jury, but the prosecutor. Or they used the assistant prosecutor because the prosecutor stayed out of it, but still he had the assistant stack the deck for the one who they were supposed to be trying to come up with a case against. At any rate, this show you somebody is being done wrong when he say they hid in prison houses. They are for a prey. You know, a prey means you being taken advantage of. You being preyed upon. And what happened? You for a prey? He talking about this nation, this people. Go ahead.
And none deliver it.
And don't nobody deliver. You being taken advantage of. You being choked to death in the street on camera. Ain't nobody going to save you. Ain't nobody going to even be accountable for it. Go ahead.
For a spoil.
For a spoil. You being spoiled. What else?
And none saith, restore.
And don't nobody say restore. Look, we took everything from them. We had them work. We had them work for free. Built the country up off free labor from slavery. Worked people like dogs. Mistreated them. Treated them like dogs. We know we shouldn't have done that, but it's over with now, though. We don't even want to talk about it. That was history. That happened a long time ago. It ain't been that long ago. But yet, even stuff still happening now. So, but he said, none delivered, they for a spoil, and none said, give back, pay them back something. Give them something back. Restore. But who's allowing it? God making this happen, and God is trying to see who going to recognize that he is in control of this. When will we learn that he's the one in control? If you go to church every Sunday and you still catch hell every Monday, maybe you need to figure something out when you go back Sunday. Maybe you need to stop going on Sunday. But go ahead.
Who among you will give ear to this?
Now he asked, he said, all this drama happening to this people. Who going to pay attention? Who among you will give ear to this? Go ahead.
Who will hearken and hear for the time to come?
Who will hearken and hear for the time to come? Go ahead.
Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to the robbers?
Now who did it? Now most of us, we been like, what the white man been doing us in? It's the white man's fault. He been spoiling us. He been robbing us. He been killing us. We read where the Lord say he slayed the young men. Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to the robbers? Who did it? Go ahead.
Did not the Lord?
Did not the Lord. The Lord did it. We tried everything but going to the Lord for the help we need. Did not the Lord, go ahead.
He against whom we have sinned.
And that's why we sinned against him. We broke his law. And we still perpetuate that because our preachers tell us we don't have to keep the law. Preachers tell us the law done away with. That's not in the Bible. He against whom we have sinned. Go ahead. So the Lord messing us up, putting us in prison, how? Allowing people to slay Israel and not be held accountable. The Lord doing it. He against whom we have sinned, for we would not walk in his ways. Go ahead.
Neither were they obedient unto his law.
Neither were we obedient unto his law. So what the Lord, he been doing a sin. And he give you a good analogy how bad he been doing it. What did he say, 25?
Therefore he hath poured upon him the fury of his anger.
The Lord is mad, and you can see his fury upon us as a people. He done poured it upon us. The fury of his anger, and what happened?
And the strength of battle.
And the strength of battle. Go ahead.
And it have set him on fire round about.
See, and the Lord, when he poured his anger on, he said that fire, it has set us on fire round about. Go ahead.
Yet he knew not, and it burned him. He laid it not to heart.
Now, you know you really not paying attention. You really haven't learned your lesson. If the Lord say he done set you on fire and you are not, and you don't even know it, how in the world can anybody be on fire and not know it? That shows you are really blind. You really not paying attention to what's going on and recognizing. That's why the title is Israel, O Israel, when will we learn? He said, set him on fire round about, and he knew it not. He's talking about this people. And it burned him. You getting burnt, and then you turn around until something happened like what happened to some of the young men, and it make the news, you think everything okay. You getting burnt, and you don't even lay it to heart. Somebody tell you, man, you a slave, you in captivity. I ain't no slave. And then you get mad when they just take advantage of you, like a slave. But you just said you wasn't no slave. You don't lay it to heart. You burn it, and you don't even know it. Let's go to Jeremiah 2. Jeremiah 2. And verse 8. Jeremiah 2 and verse 8. Okay, go ahead.
The priest said not, where is the Lord? And they that handle the law knew me not.
See, this is Israel's problem. When we was in the land, the priests didn't know the Lord, and they that handle the law, these so-called lawyers in the word, they don't know the Lord. Go ahead.
The pastors also transgressed against me.
See, told you the leaders, like Jesus said, they keep away, they hide the key of knowledge, hold back the key of knowledge. The pastors transgress against me, God said. Go ahead.
And the prophets prophesied by Baal and walked after things that do not profit.
This is what got us in trouble again. Go ahead.
Wherefore I will yet plead with you, saith the Lord, and with your children's children will I plead.
Go ahead.
For pass over the isles of Shittim and see, and send unto Kedar, and consider diligently.
Consider diligently and see what?
And see if there be such a thing.
Such a thing as what? Go ahead.
Have a nation changed their gods? Which are yet no gods?
See, we the only people did this. We had the real God. See, we deserve to get some drama. Because he said, have the nation changed their God? See, and we need to understand this because once we understand this, we can hold back from trying to blame everybody else. Even though I know people wrong. I know wrong when I see wrong. But when you understand that God is orchestrating it for what you did, then, hey, you can hold back on trying to point the finger so much because you know God is doing something here. God is mad. He said, look, this is what Israel did. Israel is a terrible people. That's why it's hard to point the finger at other people, even when they wrong, when you so terrible. He said, hath the nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? That's what he going to tell you. This is what he wants you to consider if there be such a thing. Verse 11.
But my people have changed their glory for that which does not profit.
That's what Israel did. Verse 12.
Be astonished, O ye heavens, at this, and be horribly afraid.
He said the heavens need to be astonished and be scared to death. For what?
Be ye very desolate, saith the Lord.
Uh-huh.
For my people have committed two evils.
See, we our own worst enemy. We committed two evils. Go ahead.
They have forsaken me, the fountain of living water.
That's the first one. We forsook the Lord. He's the fountain of living water. Oh, we had a whooping coming then. But that's only one evil. Go ahead.
And hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water.
See, not only did we forsake the true God, then we got some false gods and going to worship them. Go ahead.
Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Mm-hmm. Why is he spoiled?
See, we had our own land. But he asked the question, is Israel a servant? Well, we wasn't back here. We had our own land, but now that's where we are. We a slave now. He said, why is he spoiled? Because we disobeyed. Skip over to verse 30 and read that. Go ahead.
In vain have I smitten your children.
See, the Lord said he been smiting our children. The Lord been doing it. And he said, matter of fact, you want it. I'm trying to correct you. You hard-headed. You stiff-necked. I've been smiting your children. Did God come down and smite some kids? Nope. He don't do that, do he? But he let somebody else smite them. No good reason. Really, according to man's standards of law, they don't even deserve to die. But God is upset. He's trying to show you how wrong we are as a people. He said, in vain I have smitten your children, because he keep doing it, and he said, you still won't learn. You still won't recognize that I'm doing it. I'm in control. I'm making this happen. In vain I have smitten your children, and they what?
They receive no correction.
And they receive no correction. That's why the title, Israel, O Israel, when will we learn? They receive no correction. Go ahead.
Your own sword have devoured your prophets like a destroying lion.
See, we hate people like us that just tell the truth the way it is. Because we want to believe, we want to have it sugar-coated, but sugar-coated don't work when the Lord's smiting your children. You find out that's not what you need. Verse 33, read that.
Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Mm-hmm. Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways.
See, we worship false gods left and right. And then, like I said, we want to blame the other people. Like we blame other people, say, yeah, see, they taught us how to do wrong over here in this country. Look, we was wrong before we got here. That's why we got drug over here. We was wrong. See, so we don't need to be caught up in pointing the finger. And whatever somebody else is doing wrong, the Lord can handle that. We got to get our act together with God. That's why he said, why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? You know, we wanted to be in love with everybody anyway. We wanted to be worship all their gods. He said, therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. So we can't blame the wicked for being wicked when ultimately we didn't taught them how to be wicked. We the ones taught them how to be wicked. Because we should have taught them about God the right way. So much for keep pointing the finger at other people. Verse Matthew 23. We're going to wrap it up. Matthew 23. See, even Jesus, he lamented over Israel because even when he came, we such a stiff-necked people. Jesus didn't go preach to nobody but us. And we such a stiff-necked people, we wouldn't listen to him. And he was God in the flesh. And we wouldn't listen to him. So you know we was going to be in trouble. Here God come down and try to straighten this people out, and we wouldn't listen. And he said it. 23 and 37. Matthew 23, 37. Go ahead.
Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem.
Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem was Israel's capital before we got kicked out into slavery. He said, my people have gone into captivity because they had no knowledge. Well, we in captivity. Jesus was going to mention it a little bit here. So the title is Israel, O Israel, when we learn what Jesus was lamenting Israel back here. Because that was Israel's capital. Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem. That do what?
Thou that killest the prophets.
Thou that killest the prophets. See, we didn't want to be corrected at all. We was in our land. God had people telling us the right way. We kill them. And then we think we're going to get some peace when he kick us out the land. Go ahead.
And stonest them which are sent unto thee.
Go ahead. And stone is the ones that God sent to you. That's what we do. Go ahead.
How often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not.
See, Jesus is saying, talking to his people Israel, because you can't talk to no town without dealing with the people of the town. So when he said Jerusalem's rule, he's talking about the people. He's talking about Judah, the people of Israel. He said, look, you stone is the ones I sent to you, and how often I would have gathered y'all together and fixed this thing as a mother hen gather her chickens under her wings, but you wouldn't listen. You would not. You didn't want me to do it. So now guess what? Verse 38.
Behold, your house is left unto you desolate.
See, and we got kicked out of our house. We don't even have no house no more. We don't even know where home is. We in somebody else's land and don't have a land to call our own right now because he kicked us out. He said, your house is left unto you desolate. And because you didn't listen when you had an opportunity, we did wrong. What now? 39.
For I say unto you, ye shall not see me henceforth, till you shall say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord.
See, in other words, he's saying, I'm not going to leave you out there forever, but it's going to be a while. You got to wait on it now. This is what he's telling us here. He said, I would have been took care of you if you would have listened. You hard-headed. Jesus is talking about this same situation. He said, I often would have fixed this thing, but you wouldn't listen. Now your house is desolate. You going into slavery. He let us know that in other places. Luke 21, verse 24, he said, you're going to be led away captive into all nations. He said, your house is left desolate, and I say unto you, you shall not see me henceforth until you say, blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord. In other words, you're going to be messed up until a set time. Now, because you wouldn't listen. You got to wait on your redemption now. You're going to keep going through hard times like this until I get ready to get you out of that situation. But thank God he's going to get us out of it. Zephaniah 3. And that's what the Gentiles got to get ready for, because things not going to stay like it is now. Matter of fact, he's setting the world up for the big fall. Just like he set Pharaoh up. Pharaoh thought he was going to keep doing Israel in forever. No, eventually the Lord said, what? Let my people go. And Pharaoh didn't want to do it, did he? Well, he's going to say the same thing to the nations. But in the meantime, we stuck and we suffering, going through what we going through because our disobedience. And because we didn't do right when we had the chance. Now we got to wait. Like he said, your house is left unto you desolate. Now, since you didn't listen, I would have been fixed this thing for you. But you got a hard head. Zephaniah 3:1. Go ahead.
Woe to her that is filthy and polluted, to the oppressing city.
See, that's still talking about Jerusalem. See, back here was a problem. But the problem is not the city in and of itself. It's the people who was in the city occupying it. So he said, I got to get rid of you all because y'all done polluted this place. That's why Jesus said, oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Now, back here, he had already said in Zephaniah, woe to this city. And he said, this oppressing city.
She observed not the voice. She received not correction.
See, he said, woe to her that is filthy and polluted, to the oppressing city. Who is that? That's Jerusalem. She obeyed not the voice. But the city don't do nothing by itself. He's talking about the people there. She obeyed not the voice, and she didn't receive what?
Not correction.
She didn't receive correction. Even Jesus tried to correct her. We wouldn't listen. Go ahead.
She trusted not in the Lord. She drew not near to her God.
She drew not near to her God. And he go to tell you how wicked the people was in the land. We're going to skip to save time because the Lord had set us up. Well, all we had to do is listen to him. Verse 7, go ahead.
I said, surely thou wilt fear me.
See, the Lord did so much good for us. You know, he took us out of slavery, gave us the promised land. And he said to himself, I know y'all going to fear me. I done took care of you. Surely you going to fear me. But what did Israel say? Go ahead.
Thou will receive instruction.
God says, surely you going to fear me and you're going to receive some instruction so I can take care of you. Go ahead.
So their dwelling should not be cut off.
But what happened?
Howsoever I punished them. But they rose early and corrupted all their doing.
See, he said, howsoever I punished them, I punished you, you didn't receive correction. You woke up early and did some more wrong. Even though I'm punishing you. That's the same thing now. We keep doing wrong. We keep worshiping false lies. We keep celebrating man-made traditions, don't want to get into the Bible and follow what the Lord is saying. And then the Lord punishes us and we turn right back and do it again. He said, howsoever I punished them, but they rose up early and corrupted all they're doing. So since you didn't listen, you got to wait now. You got to wait till I fix it now. Verse 8.
Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord.
See, because you were stiff-necked, now you got to stay in this predicament until I get ready to get you out of it. See, that's why we waiting on the Lord to get us out of this. Man can't get us out of this. Marching can't get you out of this. Rioting can't get you out of this. You have to wait on the Lord now. The Lord put you in it, the Lord going to take you out of it. Therefore, wait ye upon me. This is the same thing Jesus was saying. Since you wouldn't listen, now your house is left unto you desolate. You got to wait because you ain't going to deal with me no more until you recognize what's going on. Until you say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. Therefore, wait ye upon me, said the Lord, till what?
Until the day that I rise up to the prey.
Until the day that I rise up to the prey. He going to do it now. That's the good news. Go ahead.
For my determination is to gather the nations.
God's determination is to gather the nations. See, this is better than the, what was it? The proclamation? What? Emancipation Proclamation. This is much better. It's God's determination is to gather the nation. He determined to gather the nations and sit them all down in their place and bring Israel home. My determination is to gather the nation that he may do what to them?
That I may assemble the kingdoms.
Assemble the kingdoms. To do what?
To pour upon them mine indignation.
Oh, to pour upon the nations his indignation. Go ahead.
Even all my fierce anger.
Go ahead.
For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy.
See, and when he do that, that's when he going to fix Israel. That's when he going to bring Israel home. Matter of fact, skip over to verse 19, and let's see what he going to do for Israel. It wasn't on the handout, but we're going to skip to verse 19 and go ahead.
Behold, at that time, I will undo all that afflict thee.
See, then he going to fix it for Israel. He said he's going to undo at that time when he gathered nations to pour that indignation on them. He said, I'm going to undo. That don't sound good, do it? I'm going to undo all that afflict thee, because that means we've been afflicted, right? Rightly so. We've been afflicted, but God said, I'm going to undo all that afflict thee, and what?
And I will save her that halteth. And gather her that was driven out.
And gather her that was driven out. Israel been driven out. Then what?
And I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame.
See, we've been put to shame in this land. If you don't understand that, you better ask somebody. We've been put to shame in this land, but God said, I'm going to get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. Go ahead, might as well read 20.
At that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you. For I will make you a name and a praise among all people of the earth.
That's a big change, isn't it? Go ahead.
When I turn back your captivity.
Oh, that means you're going to be in captivity until he do this, right? You're going to be enslaved. That's why we got brought here on slave ships and we haven't went home yet. And wonder why you get the worst of everything, why you get slayed in the street. Look, you wasn't brought here for no good time. Just because they loosen the chains a little bit don't mean that you totally free. We forget that. So until you go home, you still a captive. He said, at that time I will bring you again, even in the time that I gather you. And I will make you a name and a praise among all people of the earth when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, said the Lord. See, that's the good news at the end of the road. But right now, we waiting on this. So we suffering what we suffering, but we need to recognize where it's coming from, that the Lord allowed it. Zechariah 1. Zechariah 1. Zechariah 1. And verse 14. See, the Lord told the story from the beginning that he was going to fix it. Go ahead.
So the angel that communed with me said unto me, Cry thou, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy.
See, the Lord, Jesus said, your house is left desolate. So when we went out into slavery, our house was left desolate, and it's just been shackled by whoever want to do what they want to do. So, but the Lord all along, he said, I'm going to fix it. I'm jealous. I don't like this situation. I don't like my people being in slavery, being mistreated. I allowed it to happen for their disobedience, but I'm not pleased with it. I'm going to fix it eventually. So the angel, he said, Thus said the Lord of hosts. The angel that communed with me said unto me, Cry aloud, cry thou, saying, Thus said the Lord of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with great jealousy. See, the Lord, he allowed it to happen, but that don't mean he liked it. Wasn't Jesus agonizing, said, oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem? That show you nothing changed in this Bible. People want to separate the Old Testament from the New Testament. Sound like it go together. Sound like Jesus was agonizing over the same place that Zechariah is agonizing over. That got to be rectified. The real people got to come from slavery and occupy that in righteousness. Go ahead, verse 15. What else God said?
And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction.
See, he said, I'm sore displeased with the heathen. Heathen mean nation. See, the nation's at ease. You know, we get killed. Everybody's still at ease. Ain't nobody did nothing. People running down Jerusalem, trotting it down, fighting and doing what they want to do, but everybody fine with it being like it is. God is not fine with it being like it is. He said, I'm very displeased with the heathen. Heathen mean nations that are at ease. They at ease in this wickedness, in this wicked world. He said, I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. See, God was mad at us and punishing us, but really what he's saying is y'all done got carried away now. You all have went too far now, and I'm going to rectify it. See, God going to fix it before it's over. So what? 16.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. My house shall be built in it.
See, this is what he getting ready to do. When he bring Israel back, he going to fix it up and beautify everything. Go ahead.
Saith the Lord of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem.
Go ahead.
Cry yet, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, my cities through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad. And the Lord shall yet comfort Zion, and shall yet choose Jerusalem.
So he's not done with it. That's why Jesus said he would have been did it, but you wouldn't listen. Now you got to wait. Go ahead. 18.
Then lifted I up my eyes and saw, and behold, 4 horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, What be these? And he answered me, These are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. And the Lord showed me 4 carpenters. Then said I, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head.
See, those horns is the Gentile dynasties, starting with Babylon, Medo-Persian, Greek, and Rome. The Gentile dynasty, they the ones kept Israel in captivity all this time, because we just went from one slave master to another slave master. We've been in captivity. So those are the 4 horns that have scattered Judah and Israel and Jerusalem. But he saw 4 carpenters. He said, what these come to do? So he reiterated verse 21. He said, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, not the carpenters. These are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. But now these carpenters are what? Finish 21.
These are come to fray them.
Now these the carpenters. They in Revelation, but he said these are come to fray them, to do what?
To cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn over the land of Judah to scatter them.
See, in the end, the Lord going to cast out the horns of the Gentile, and he going to bring his people from captivity, and we going to inherit the promised land, and it's going to be peace and righteousness, and he going to make us his priests again. One more place, Ezekiel 20. So the Lord going to fix it. But in the meantime, we need to know what's going on now so we can quit burning down stuff and acting crazy and do what's necessary to alleviate the problems that we keep having, and that's turn back and start obeying God according to what's written in the Bible. That's the solution. It ain't going to change overnight, but things will get better if we start obeying the Lord, being obedient to the word. Instead of thinking we're going to be like everybody else, things will get better. Overnight, they'll get better, and eventually the Lord going to get us out this situation. He can't lie. But we got to realize that we're in this situation for what we did wrong. Once you realize that, you don't have much time to be pointing the finger. Even when somebody else is wrong, you know they're wrong. But you're going to let the Lord deal with them because he know how to deal with them. And he going to deal with them. Ezekiel 20 and 42. Go ahead.
And ye shall know that I am the Lord when I shall bring you into the land of Israel.
See, that's what the Lord going to do. He's going to bring us from slavery into the land of Israel. And we're going to know that he is the Lord when he bring us into the land of Israel. Go ahead.
Into the country for which I lifted up my hand to give it to your fathers. And there shall ye remember your ways and all your doings, wherein ye have been defiled, and ye shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for all your evils that ye have committed.
See, this is where you need to be looking at things. We try to get puffed up. We puffed up against other people. We mad at other people. And yeah, some wrong that been done, but we done just as wrong. Nobody is innocent because we in this predicament because our wrongdoing. And by the time it's all said and done, the Lord said when we go back to the land, those that's there going to have enough sense to look back. And he said that we going to loathe ourselves. You ain't going to be proud like you were so righteous and all the other people were so wicked. No, this is how you need to be looking at it now. We have done wrong. So once he take us back to the land, he said, there you're going to remember your ways and all your doings wherein ye have been defiled. And you shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for all your evils that you have committed. Go ahead.
And ye shall know that I am the Lord. When I have wrought with you for my name's sake, not according to your wicked ways.
See, because we got our own wicked ways. That's what we need to worry about. If we work on straightening up our wicked ways, the Lord will deal with our oppressors. He'll deal with them. Go ahead.
Nor according to your corrupt doing, O ye house of Israel, saith the Lord God.
I hope you got some understanding in Jesus' name. Praise the Lord.